What if I told you that the world of Middle-earth didn't begin with a god, or a big bang, but with a song? Not just any song, a divine symphony performed by beings so ancient and powerful, their voices shaped reality itself. This was the music of the Ainur, the blueprint of all that would ever exist. Time, mountains, oceans, light, even darkness. But even perfection has its rebels. Among these mighty singers was one who didn't want to follow the melody. His name was Melkor, and in his pride he introduced his own themes, twists in the harmony that echoed with ambition and chaos. From this discord, the seeds of conflict were sown. Every shadow will come to know started there. So who created this song? What were these beings, and how did their music become Middle-earth? Before the rings, before the elves, even before the stars lit the sky, there was only sound, intention, and power. This is the forgotten origin of Tolkien's universe. And to understand the epic battles and legendary heroes, we first need to understand how the world itself came to be.
Let's go back to the very beginning, the first note in the greatest story ever told. Before Middle-earth, before time itself, before the stars had ever opened their eyes, there was only one, Eru Ilúvatar, the One. He existed alone in the void, timeless and absolute. Yet from the infinite depths of his thought, he brought forth the Ainur, the Holy Ones, immortal spirits, vast and varied, each a reflection of a part of his mind. To each Ainur, Ilúvatar gave a theme, a fragment of divine music. Some were fierce and fiery, others gentle and deep. Some embodied strength, others wisdom, light, wind, sea, or silence. They were not gods in the mortal sense, but builders of existence, voices of creation. And they began to sing. Each Ainur wove their theme into the music, exploring its depth and beauty. Together, their melodies formed a rising harmony, until Ilúvatar gathered them and introduced a great music, the Ainulindale, the music of the Ainur. It was no longer individual inspiration, it was a cosmic orchestra. He bade them to perform together, to blend their powers into a single song. And from this harmony, vision was born. Shapes of mountains, stars, and creatures shimmered through the music. They weren't simply imagining the world, they were singing it into being. But harmony did not last. Among them was Melkor, the most gifted and most proud. He sought not to follow Ilúvatar's melody, but to reshape it, to make creation bend to his will. His notes clashed with the others, turning harmony into chaos. And yet, Ilúvatar allowed it. He answered not with anger, but with deeper music, new themes of sorrow and strength that wove Melkor's discord into even greater beauty. Through conflict, Ilúvatar showed that no note, however dark, could escape his design. Even defiance had a place in destiny. Some Ainur were drawn to Melkor's power, others stood firm. The music rose and fell like a tide of stars until Ilúvatar lifted his hand, and silence fell. What they had sung was not just sound, it was a vision of Arda, the world to come. And some of the Ainur, moved by love or purpose, would descend into this world, to shape it with their own hands. Thus began the long ages of the world, and the first echo of every tale that would follow. The Ainur stood before Ilúvatar, and they began to sing. Each voice entered the music like a star being born, threads of sound intertwined, rising in beauty and power. The music was not just harmony, it was reality becoming aware of itself. As they sang, the void was no longer void. Vast oceans, towering mountains, golden forests, and endless skies appeared in the music. Not physically, not yet, but in vision. It was the blueprint of existence, and the Ainur poured their spirit into it. At first, the harmony was perfect. But then came a ripple. Melkor, brightest among the Ainur, began to insert his own themes, strange and proud. He sought not only to contribute, but to dominate. His music was loud, deep, and full of majesty, but it clashed with the others. Where the song flowed like a river, Melkor stirred storms. The music trembled. Confusion spread among the Ainur. Some faltered. Others were drawn toward Melkor's power, weaving their voices into his. Dissonance grew, the unity fractured, the vision darkened. Fire and ice battled within the sound. But Ilúvatar did not intervene with force. Instead, he introduced a second theme, deeper, more powerful. It rose like a slow dawn through the chaos, absorbing Melkor's noise, turning it into something strangely beautiful. A harmony born of resistance, a light shaped by shadow. Still, Melkor persisted. His rebellion became violent. His music thundered like a storm without end, piercing and vast. His song sought to drown all others, to be the only voice. And once more, Ilúvatar responded, not in anger, but with a third and final theme. It was quiet, barely a whisper. But within it, there was something no other Ainur could fathom. The seeds of hope, of sacrifice, of mortality. It carried the weight of sorrow and the promise of joy. It was not loud, but it endured. This theme wove itself into all the others, transcending the conflict. It did not erase Melkor's defiance. It transformed it, creating a deeper purpose through pain. A paradox of beauty born from dissonance. And then, with a single motion of his hand, Ilúvatar brought the music to an end. Silence returned. But it was not empty. It was charged, holy, infinite. The echoes of the song still lingered, like embers in the dark. Ilúvatar then spoke. He showed the Ainur what they had sung, not just in sound, but in shape. A vision of the world, Arda, its lands, its peoples, its fates, everything born from their voices, every joy, every sorrow, every choice. And he said, "Behold your music, and let it be." Some Ainur wept with wonder, others turned away, knowing their part had changed forever. But the music had been made, the world had begun, and it would never be the same. And then the vision became real. Ilúvatar, in his power, spoke the world into existence. What had been only music, only thought and song, was now made matter. The shapes the Ainur had glimpsed in the melody became land, sky, water, and fire. This was Ee, the universe. Within it, the world they had sung took form. Arda. Some of the Ainur, moved by the beauty of what they had helped shape, chose to descend into Arda. They became bound to it, forever part of its destiny. These were the valor, the powers of the world. With them came others, lesser but still mighty spirits called the Maiar. Though different in might, they shared in origin and devotion to guide the shaping of the world and prepare it for the children of Ilúvatar, the elves and men. At first, Arda was young, wild, and unformed, a swirling chaos of fire, wind, stone, and water. The Valor set themselves to the task of bringing order from disorder. Time itself began here, flowing forward as they worked. Manwe, lord of air and wind. Ulmo, master of water. Aule, the smith. Yavanna, the giver of fruits. Varda, who kindled the stars. They even built great lamps to light the world. Iluin and Ormul. For a time, balance reigned, but not for long. Melkor returned, and with him, destruction. The world was torn again, yet the Valar did not give up. In the west, they raised Valinor, and in the east, they waited, for those destined to awaken. Even as Arda was shaped, it trembled under conflict. Melkor had become a storm, a will set against the world. He did not build, he broke. He could not create, only corrupt. The Valar withdrew but did not surrender. They looked eastward, not in fear, but in hope. For the children of Ilúvatar would soon awaken, elves by starlight, men by the sun, beings born outside the music, free, unpredictable, and powerful. Melkor feared them, the Valar believed in them, and the world held its breath. The music had ended, but the story had just begun. From a single thought came a world, and from a song came its story. The shaping of Arda was only the beginning. What lies ahead, elves, rings, betrayals, heroes, and darkness, was all built upon these first harmonies. If you felt the echo of the music in this tale, then you are already part of it. Here at the Valinor Archives, we bring the forgotten lore of Tolkien to light. Subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comments, and let your voice join the chorus of Arda. The next chapter is calling.